A man came up to me and asked me what the time that was on my watch. Yeah. And I said, yes, I said, does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care?
I know what time it is. It's 7 o'clock and it's Tuesday night, and we're here with a very, very special guest. And besides
Wait a
having
second.
Darren,
Wait. Stop.
What
You screwed up the whole intro.
What'd I do?
Because it's supposed to be welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Business Power Hour.
No, I
Darren,
wanted
the
to do
Music
something
Man.
different tonight.
And it's Tuesday night at
It's
7
special.
o'clock.
It's a
We jump
special
right
night.
into the guest. How was your week, by the way?
We do this, by the way,
How long you been married?
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. Yeah. So how was your week?
Week was
Music
nice.
Man?
We had beautiful weather, right?
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday was
yeah,
really
Saturday
nice.
I flew up to Rome and the weather was just
Where were you?
tremendous. I flew up to Rome, New York.
Rome, New York. Yeah.
Rome, New York. Yeah, we had training exercise. Remember last week I said we had training exercise.
Uh-huh.
So
That was
I got
last
to
week.
fly up there. I got to fly back, and yeah, it was a.
Did
all
you
day.
stop off at your cousin's?
No, I didn't stop off with my cousins. I
Does
didn't
he
get to
know
see
you
my
were up
cousins.
around there?
No, he doesn't know I was up around there.
Because now-
I didn't even tell him because
Because now he's
he's
listening. Boy,
and
you're gonna be
and I
fisted,
was
Joe.
wearing my flight suit, John. So tell Ann.
All right.
She likes the way I look in my flight suit. So
All right. So
it
that's
is what it is.
that's it.
Anyway.
Didn't you go to the beach? You said you went to the
Yeah,
beach.
yesterday.
You're
Actually, I
all
went to
burnt.
the beach yesterday, and it was. I thought I told you to shut your phone off.
I did.
It just
You
beeped.
beeped it, but it's not playing. It's a good beep, right?
This is what.
He's
this is
glad
what-
we hit it already. We did
This is
we
what
did good.
We did good, right? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, no, I went to Jones Beach. It was overcast most of the day, so I didn't even take my shirt off. I just had a sleeveless shirt on, and when I got home, I took my shirt off, and my arms are like burnt crisp. And the rest of my body is like all white. Just my face.
No one asked you
and my
about your
arms.
Christmas. Oh, whatever.
But otherwise, it was a nice day at the beach.
All right,
and,
enough
you
with
know,
you. Let's go-
but they, you know what?
What?
They wouldn't let us go in the water past our knees because
Sand
of the sharks.
They were talking about a lot of sand
Mhm.
sharks this week.
Yep, because there was a lot of sharks out there. So yeah, they wouldn't let. We got started going in past your knees. All of a sudden, they're blowing the whistles and calling you back.
All right, is it all right if we start the show now?
We can start the show now.
Okay.
Wherever you
Lenny
want to.
Falcone. Hey, the barman.
The
Hey,
barman.
welcome.
Actually, he's
You're
the
an awesome
wingman.
wife. What is
He
he?
was
He was the wingman. That's
he
what
was
said.
the ultimate wingman in any bar scenario when he went out with his friends, right, Lenny? How are you, Lenny?
I
How many weeks ago was
pretty
that?
good at that. That's a long time ago.
Sure.
That's
Is your wife listening tonight?
My wife is listening.
All right,
but-
good.
but
Hello,
she-
Mrs. Falcone. How are you?
She's
Nice to
heard
see you.
all these stories, and what's really funny is that after we were married, I continued doing that for friends to the extent that one day when my wife was at a bridal shower and I was left on my own on the Upper East Side, I went into Bloomingdale's and I wanted to buy this Italian piece of jewelry called a dodo. And the girl behind the counter was just delightful and pretty.
Mm.
And I told her, I have a guy for you. My friend Dominic, who you can read about him in my book.
What book?
This book.
That's a book?
In my
Oh,
time.
did you bring that book? Did you write that book?
Written by Lenny Falcone.
No,
you know
Is
he
that what you
wrote
did?
it.
You wrote the book?
You know he wrote it.
You wrote it?
Yes, he wrote it. He's wrote it.
Good.
So
So-
I'm sorry, Lenny.
I actually told this gal, you got to meet this friend of mine. And she said, all you guys say your friends are great. And I said, listen, I'm going to come back in about an hour with my wife.
Mhm.
And I'm going to leave the department. I'm going to be nowhere near you. And you and my wife can have a conversation about my friend. They went out for like 4 months.
Did they?
Yeah.
All
they
right.
did.
So there you go. So
Did
you're
you
a
get any
matchmaker.
jewelry from her or anything?
I had to buy it.
I want to know if she gave him anything.
But I bought two dodos. I bought one that was a full-size falcon and one that was a little chick because I told my wife, you've only been a falcon for a little while. You're not a full-grown falcon bird yet.
And what
You're
did
just
she
a
say?
chick. She said, I think it's cute. Thanks. So
Has she ever gotten the full-grown Falcone?
Oh,
yet?
if she hadn't already earned Falcone status when my son was born, that put her over the top.
And how old is your son?
He's 13.
13.
Okay.
It's going to be bar mitzvah. So.
So Lenny,
He could be.
so we're getting into all your personal life, but we know nothing about you. So
Well, that's
tell
why
us
we're
about
getting
you,
into his
Lenny.
personal life. We'll find out about
that's
him.
part of it, right? So Lenny, tell us about what do you do? Who are you? What
Okay.
is it all about?
So I'm a kid from Ozone Park
Mm-hmm.
who was good at school.
Okay.
And that led to me going through a succession of schools where other kids that were good at school went. And I graduated NYU Law School, and I got a job in a big firm called Shea and Gould, where the fella that started the New York Mets was the top dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then things rolled from there. So I've had a career as a lawyer.
How long were you there?
I was there for 5 years, and I met Bill Shea, and I'm proud that, like a lot of people there, I have Bill Shea stories. He was a delightful, wonderful man.
Did they ever take you to the bar with them?
To the bar?
Yeah. Did you hook them up?
I don't think they needed help to get hooked up.
Well, you know, you don't know. You don't want your name out there.
I did hook Bill Shea up bar-wise in a fashion, because we were going to the Yankees welcome home dinner at the Waldorf, and he said, "Can you arrange for a bottle of Johnny Walker Black to be in front of my plate?" And I said, "Well, of course." So I went over to the bar, and I gave the guy $100 bill, and I got a bottle of Johnny Walker Black, and it was there for Mr. Shea when he arrived. And
So you hooked him up.
I hooked him up.
You hooked him up.
So
Bar
he
and
drank
bar.
that puppy?
Oh, no.
He just wanted you to get it for him.
He enjoyed a responsible portion.
There you go. That's
a
politically,
good way to
that's
put
a
it.
politically correct way to answer that
Very nice.
question.
Is
Because
he
he's not going to
listening?
give you what you want.
No, is he listening tonight?
No.
I
Mr.
wish he was. I
Mr.
wish
Shea
he
is,
passed
is
away
he
a
passed?
yeah,
few
he's no
years
longer
ago.
with us.
I'm a Yankee fan, so I don't know.
Oh,
that.
I live and die with the Yankees. I
Him too.
wanted to work at Shea and Gould because I knew they were the Yankees law firm. For me, the only way it could have been better was if they were also the Beatles law firm, and I worked there too.
So you got to
So I'm a
experience a lot
lawyer.
of different things being
Nice.
a lawyer. But
Oh yeah, so
You-
many things.
But Lenny, you grew up in Ozone Park, so you're this kid from Ozone Park. You make good. You go to NYU Law School. You work with these big firms. You're doing well, and
Growing and prospering.
growing and prospering and things like that. And you become an author. How did? What was the process? Is this it? Let me ask it this way: was writing something you always did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I loved writing from second grade on. Writing stories was always a thrill for me. And I had a little recognition along the way. I wrote the play that the PTA put on when I was in 5th grade. And
You wrote the whole play?
yeah, I wrote the whole play.
In 5th grade.
I mean, it was, yeah, but
What was it about?
Snoopy meets Frosty the Snowman.
Okay.
But the parents had a lot of fun with it. And then I didn't even know that the school was entering these essays in this contest, but I wrote an essay, what I would do if I was police commissioner for a day. And I won the thing. So then I was police commissioner for a day. And then all through
Did you
high
actually
school,
become police commissioner day down at
it was,
headquarters?
it was,
Or was it in the school?
it was a really fun thing. They had us down at Police Plaza.
Right.
Police Commissioner Dowd was there. One of the deputy mayors was there. There was this great ceremony. You know, all our parents were swelled up with pride because a couple of people won. I shouldn't say I was the winner.
Right.
A couple of people won. And they gave you a beautiful certificate that I had on the wall in my office forever. And then you got to sit at the commissioner's desk for the day. And one of the things they told you, you can have anything for lunch you want, and it'll be brought to you. I want pastrami from the Carnegie Deli. I'd never had it before.
Not exactly convenient to one
What-
police
no,
plaza.
No, but they got it.
Yeah,
And,
sure.
and the guy that got it said to me, "You want the cheesecake, don't you?" I had never eaten cheesecake at that time.
You never even had Italian cheesecake?
Oh, Italian cheesecake
All right.
I had. You're right. But they had explained to me this is the Jewish cheesecake.
Cream cheese.
Never had it. I remember I was 13 or something, but I remember the sensation of putting it in my mouth and just thinking, I don't want to swallow ever.
Yeah, it's that
This
good.
is so good. But they gave you that. Then you got a summer job out of it until you turned 18.
Nice.
So that was a nice thing. And I wrote for the literary journal in high school, and I wrote for the newspaper. And of course, I was an English major in college. So, you know, all my term papers, everybody else hated writing a term paper. I was like, yeah, a term paper.
Your undergrad was in English, and then you went to law school.
Yeah, I had all these AP credits. So I was at NYU undergrad for 3 years. Then I worked in a law firm for a year. Then I went to law school. And
Are you still practicing?
Oh, sure. I've been practicing 36 years.
So you're writing all of this stuff, and you're constantly doing this. Now, when you're going through law school, can you shut that off,
trying
please?
to.
Oh,
I
my
just want
God.
to interrupt you.
I know you do. Are you now starting to write for the Law Journal? Are you starting to write for the NYU Law?
I didn't make Law Journal.
Mm-hmm.
We all had to write for that. I had a tough adjustment to legal writing, but I did participate on the moot court team.
Okay.
So I did write the brief for the moot court team, and I got to travel down to Charlotte, wherever UNC is in North Carolina.
Chapel Hill, isn't it?
On
Is that
Chapel
Chapel
Hill.
Hill?
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
So I did that writing, but I was writing stuff for kicks, really for myself and for my friends, all through law school.
So what kind of stuff were you writing? I mean, you said you got to write some law stuff. What was the type of writing that you really love to write about?
I love to write stuff that's going to be about love or laughs. And my goal when I'm writing is I want to give you landscape. I want to give you dialogue, a little description of the people. But I really just want to trigger you to run a movie reel in your mind. And I don't want to get fancy with the words. I mean, I could do it, but I don't want the writing to get in the way of you creating the image.
So basically, you don't want the writing so people go, what the hell does he mean by that?
Yeah, exactly.
You want it simple, you want it basic. And in what I read from the book, because my partner didn't read the book, from what I've read, and I told you I didn't read a lot of it, didn't have an opportunity to read a lot of it. It almost sounds like, hey, yo, it's like your friends like hanging out.
It's a regular conversation.
It's a regular conversation. It's a regular
in writing.
It's a relatable story, especially us who grew up in New York.
I'm glad you're saying that. I want it to be that it's very conversational. I want it when you read it that it just rolls and there's no effort that you have to put out to get through the book. I want it to just fall out for you and leave you to create a movie reel in your mind and see this. Now, of course, you're not going to see what I saw. I was there. But you're going to take from your life experience and you're going to put it in there. So it's going to be like this wonderful stew.
Right.
And that's what I'm going for. And I did that throughout law. I would write letters to people, and it's 35 years later, and they still have the letters. Like we went on this trip to Jamaica, and I wrote a letter about the trip that I called "The Rum Also Rises," because we went to the Bahamas and we discovered rum.
Okay.
And we actually over-discovered rum. And that led to many hilarious stories. And I would do that kind of writing. Then, of course, when you get into practice and you're at the big firms, your hours are really, I don't know what the right word is.
Basically,
you're working forever, right? You don't really have any free time, especially when you're an associate, trying to make a name for yourself. You're just swamped with work.
You're dead on.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't do much writing then. And then all of a sudden, I just got back to it. Like maybe 10 years ago, I decided I don't like anything on TV. And I can't watch another person renovate a house and find that a load-bearing wall is surprisingly, not intact.
Right.
And that, of course, $5,000 to put up the beam.
Exactly.
And I just started writing these things. I was calling them ditties, little ditties. And yes, I stole that from John Mellon.
Okay.
But what did Hemingway say about all the great writers? They all steal.
Yeah.
But I I started writing these ditties, and then Facebook came out. And I started putting them on Facebook, and people were really responding to them. And then I had this group of people say, "You should write a book. You should write a book." When the pandemic came, courts are closed.
You had nothing
Not
to do.
much work to do.
Time to
I
write
wrote
a
a
book.
book.
But wait, but before that, you said you were actually a writer for a magazine.
Yes, for
Right.
Whalebone magazine.
So how did that come about? How did you, you say you started writing again, you're putting these ditties up.
And
How
what
did-
kind of magazine is Whalebone? What's it about?
Whalebone magazine is a lifestyle magazine. And I like to say it's for the lifestyle involved is enlightened East End people. It's published in Montauk. It's very Montauk centric, but it's also very modern. And although the target audience is younger than I actually am, we share a sensibility.
Did a couple of years ago, did they do like a big thing about them out there opening up their offices in Montauk?
Yeah, they were
Because it was a real strange thing for them to be all the way out in Montauk as opposed to being in Manhattan, right?
They did. It was actually on the front page of the styles section of the Times, that piece. And yeah, it was kind of a big deal. And they're kind of a big deal out there. But now they have an outlet in Greenwich Village. And I think there's still a store over on, I'll just call it downtown.
I think they need to be on this show, though. They could use a little marketing and branding in the other areas.
Well, they would probably
That was
love it. But the publisher, Eddie Barang, a wonderful man, his wife, Autumn Barang, has the #1 female marketing and advertising firm in the country called Adverb.
And what's her name?
Autumn Barang.
Automarang.
Why
did they say
stop?
lemon?
Would you stop that?
Not Murray.
Let's step back a couple of
That's my
steps here,
nickname.
Lenny.
But
How did you're writing these ditties and that? So when they approached you and they said, "Hey, we want to put some of your work in our magazine," right? I'm assuming that this is how it went, and you were like, "Well, I'm entertaining offers from the Times."
Oh,
and
sure. Sure I was. So,
What type of stuff were they looking for? Did you continue to write your ditties, or did they kind of change what you were writing?
They didn't change what I was writing. And the way it came about, it's an example of the hand of God. I was at a restaurant in Pittsfield, Vermont, which is right outside of Killington.
Mm-hmm.
And it's where the Spartan races are headquartered. And there is a high-end restaurant behind the general store called the Back Room, and it has communal seating. So I'm at this communal table with
20 other people.
Many other
That's
people.
interesting.
Right?
A high-end restaurant with communal seating.
Yeah. But the chef is a fellow named Kevin, who used to be the chef at the Park Avenue Grill. So when he's doing his thing in the general store, it's one type of cooking.
Right.
But then when he does his thing in the back room, it's a whole other level.
It's a whole other level. It's very high end, very,
It really is.
Yeah.
So we're at a communal table. I'm a gabber. I'm gabbing. I'm telling stories. Everyone's talking. Everybody's telling stories. And there's a guy at the end of the table, and he's just like this. He says to me, you have some good stories. Did you ever think of writing them up? And I take out my cell phone and I hit notes and I say, yeah, I've written up about 200. He says, why don't you take my card and send me some? Maybe we could do something with that. I sent him a story the following Saturday. It was snowing out. It was like a blizzard. So I said, hey, here's a smile on a snowy day. And I sent him a story about a time years ago out in the Hamptons when there was also a man of respect with the same last name as me. So I would go to restaurants and be treated like the second coming when I had absolutely no connection to this whatsoever. He thought the story was funny and he published it. And then a week later he said, you're getting clicks, I think they were called. You're getting clicks like you wouldn't believe. I need another story. So I send him
Was
a
this
story.
paying gigs or you just did it?
Well, at that point, it wasn't pay. They call you a contributor in magazines for a reason.
Because you contribute, you don't get paid, right?
Yeah. Well, you don't until you got a following.
Right.
So then the second story I told them was about this unbelievably bizarre night with me and Al Goldstein. Do you remember who Al Goldstein is? Well, I also manage an apartment complex in Ozone Park. And Al moved in. And Al and I had a lot of crazy interactions. And that story got a lot of clicks. And then he asked me, it's February, can you do a love story? So I gave him a 10,000 word true story of everything from the day I knew my wife existed on the planet to the day that we got married. And he said, I love this. I'm going to serialize it. And he did. And then it just took off from there. It was like, just whatever you've got going on, whatever you want to write about.
What year did that happen?
Oh, God, that was 4 or 5 years ago. I think it was 5, probably 2016.
And where are you now in regards to that magazine? Where has that taken you?
So the magazine and I are great friends. I think we're in love. But once the pandemic hit, the regular columns were discontinued. The print magazine still comes out regularly, but the columns were in the online magazine. And they segued into something they call an afternoon delight. So every afternoon at 3 o'clock, if you sign up, you'll get an email and you'll get some fun suggestions and some clever stuff.
So they went away from traditional stories and columns and that and went more to ditties.
Yeah, I guess.
But you said print. They stuck more with print than they did the internet. Wouldn't it have been the other way around?
You would think, but the print magazine's really successful. And people love it, and they keep it, and they pile them up on their coffee tables, and they come into Whalebone's store, and they pay pretty good money to get back issues to complete their collection. So it's
okay.
I guess you've heard of them, Whalebone, right?
Yes, I have.
I never did.
Yeah, I have. I guess because I pay attention.
But
that's because you're very wealthy.
That's not because
last year they kind of helped me get over something, I suppose. I'm a Hemingway fanatic. So I needed an outlet for this. And I wrote this very long story called Hemingway Haunts Me. And they put it out last year as a 30-page book. And it was successful. And then this year they said, let's do a real book.
How many stories have you written?
Oh.
Total. What have you written?
Oh, God. 300.
And how many are in your new book?
37. Okay, so you wrote 300 stories. You have 37 in the book. When they came to you and said, okay, let's do a book, was it, I got to do 37 new stories? Or did you go back into your library of stories and say, okay, I'm going to start picking some of them and I'll add some other ones? How did that whole thing come about? Because I know how difficult it can be to put a book together.
They actually said to me, you come up with the concept. We have faith in you. And I said, well, I want to, first of all, I want to do a Hemingway-esque kind of thing. You may not know it, but that cover is a complete mock-up of the cover of Hemingway's In Our Time. And I said, I think I want to do a memoir. I think I want to just piece them together and make it a journey. And they were like, okay, make it interesting. I said, I'm going to do my best to make it interesting. And then I thought to myself, well, Lenny 37. 37 is that's my email address. Lenny 37, et cetera, and 37 was the number on Cool Hand Luke's prison shirt, and 37's been like my lucky number. So I said I'm going to do 37 stories because hey, I'm 37.
That's it. Oh, so that's how you came up with that. That was my next question. How did you come up with the next?
I see 8 to 9 more books with the 300 remaining stories that you do have without sweating.
Yeah, but I've got so much stuff running around in my head. I've got a whole series of stories about a character that came about when I went to my son's dance recital, and I sat next to this delightful older woman, and we started talking. And the next thing I know, I'm hearing about Crazy Ray on 102nd Street on the West Side in the 60s and the 70s, and her sister. There's
Ray was a woman.
Ray was a man.
Ray
was a junkie with a heart of gold who was an ex-military man. And then I see her at another dance recital, and she's talking to me about the Westies and the Fordham Baldies, and I'm just soaking all of this in. And the next thing I know, I've got a whole compilation. I've got a dozen stories.
I grew up with those Fordham Baldies.
Did you really?
Yeah, that's my time.
Wow.
And I'm a Bronx boy.
Well, I understand that the head of the Fordham Baldies was a fella named Angelo.
And he was big and fat.
Was he?
And bald.
Well, that makes sense, the bald.
But not all of them were. A majority of them were.
So, Lenny, if somebody wants
me, or they shaved.
If somebody wants to get a hold of you and either, number one, get more stories and follow you, but also get the book, In My Time, how can they go about doing that?
All right. So this book is available at both of Whalebone's stores in Montauk, the one at the kiosk and the one on Gin Lane. It's also available at their flagship store on the corner of Bleecker and Christopher in the Village. And you can get it at shopwhalebone.com.
Okay. And we have whalebonemag.com. You can find some of your work there. Also, Facebook at Whalebone Mag and Instagram at Whalebone Mag. Right, as well as Lenny37 at AOL.com. If you want to drop Lenny a note.
Now I got another one for you. If you want to send me the link how to purchase this, I will put it on my Facebook page for you.
You got it. It's coming to you as soon as we're off the air.
That's it. We'll get it.
Let me get home first.
Okay, you can get
well,
home
no,
first.
You know what? You don't have to wait till get home because it's going to take them a little while to find it anyway.
Exactly.
So
what I tell people often is if you Google Whalebone Falcone, the site that they created will come up, and you'll see my smiling pre-beard face and all of the stories that they had published as freestanding stories are available for free on that site. And only 3 of them are repeated in here. So you're still going to get 34 new stories.
But we're going to discuss those new stories when we come back, because I believe it's advertising.
It's time to take a break. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about your stories and about your childhood and all the different, people that you actually put into your book.
We want to discuss the characters.
And we'll be back right after these messages.
Take to the highway, won't you lend me your name? Your way and my way seem to be one and the same. How sweet it is to be loved by you. There you were, needed someone to understand my ups and downs. There you were, with sweet love and devotion, deeply touching my emotions. I won't stop. Thank you, baby. I just won't stop. And thank you, baby. Yes, I do.
1, 2.
Coming on the Business Power Hour gives you something that you don't normally get with your typical advertising on the internet.
Or in the newspaper.
Right?
None of that stuff.
You get thousands of viewers who see the show every week, not only locally, but nationally and internationally.
For a very nominal fee. Actually, we did it and we broke it down. It will actually cost you 0.75 cents per view that you get. That's it. All right, so if you're interested in being a guest on the Business Power Hour with Darren and the Music Man, please give me a call at 631-698-9696 or email me at norman@friendentusa.com or call Darren at...
You can call me at 844-987-CBMS. That was 844-987-CBMS. Or email me at Darren@bphdmm.com.
I think I'm going to get in touch with you also.
Yeah?
I am, to make sure that you get here on time.
Oh, okay.
Next time.
Yeah.
All right?
It's the first time ever I've been late.
Pachera aquata, also known as the money tree, is a tree that flourishes in the tropical rainforest. Unlike other trees, it depends on 5 separate trunks to prosper, each one bringing its own share of water and nutrients to the leaves. Like the money tree, your business has many different trunks that need your attention. Sales, marketing, finance, operations, and culture. Fail to cultivate any one of these and the whole tree collapses. I understand this better than anyone else, which is why I developed My Prosperity Tree, a program designed to address all of these areas, not just one or two. We help you identify who you are as a company, define your direction, and assist with developing the systems that will enable you to scale your business the most efficient and effective way, allowing your company to bloom into your own prosperity tree. So plant your tree today by visiting myprosperitytree.com or call us at 844-987-CBMS. That's 844-987-2267.
And welcome back to the Business Power Hour with Darren and the Music Man and our special guest, Lenny Falcone, big-time publisher, not writer.
He's not
Big
a
time
publisher, he's
writer.
an author,
Well, you're
writer.
going to get to be a
He's got all
publisher
kinds of-
too.
So,
Okay.
We're working on it for you.
yeah, that's it. You're going to get his own publishing.
I'm big time within my own backyard.
There you go. That's.
I
like
heard
that.
about your backyard.
That's it.
It's almost as big as Darren's.
No, I don't have.
Darren has a huge backyard.
I
Oh,
don't.
good.
I don't.
He used to have horses. And
yeah,
stuff.
he started rumors that I had horses.
Is that a rumor?
So I go to these networking things, and people are always asking me about my horses and all this other stuff. And he tells people
And
I have
his Ferraris.
Maseratis. Yeah, my Ferraris. I have a track. I have,
In his backyard.
yeah. So all of these different things, which I don't have. I live in a 55 and older community. And,
Now he
you know,
does.
Well,
Yeah.
I understand that better than most because when I
You
got
have
out of
horses too?
school- No, when I got out of school and I went to Shea and Gould, a lot of people somehow came around to I work for the Yankees, and then I bought a red Toyota Supra, and somehow it went around the neighborhood that I had gotten a red Ferrari. And I went into Carl the tailor one day, and he said, "Can you take me for a ride in the Ferrari?" I said, "I don't have a Ferrari." He said, "I heard you had the Magnum PI car." I said, "I have a Toyota Supra. I've never had a Ferrari. I'll probably never have a Ferrari."
Right.
He said, "Oh, well, can you get me some tickets to see the Yankees?" I said, "No, I can't get you tickets to see the Yankees." "But you work for the Yankees." I said, "I don't work for the Yankees." "But everybody tells me you're working for the Yankees now." "No, I work for a law firm that represents the Yankees."
That makes a great story.
Well,
Things blow up.
It sounds like things like that is really what you took, your life experiences, and you created this book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So in the first chapter, right, you talk about when you were a kid and your friends. So how did this, we were talking about this during the break. How did this come about where you said, okay, I want to write about this? What made you want to write about your childhood? What made you want to write about actually your life experiences? Now you talked about 37 chapters and you want to make it a journey and all that. So take us a little bit through the journey, not only of the journey itself, but how it manifested.
Right. So when I got the idea that I really want this to be a memoir and just walk through my life, not because I think I could teach anybody anything from it or ego, just because I thought I've had some interesting experiences and people get a kick out of some of this stuff. And the first thing I thought was, all right, where am I going to start? And I grew up on this great block with a lot of kids, and I was there from when we moved in 64 until we moved out at 76. And I thought, the whole 60s, I experienced the 60s there. And I was kind of a precocious kid, so I was very, very aware of everything that was going on. I was reading the newspaper in first grade. And then I realized, no, actually, everything in the 60s happened in that lot. Like all of the themes of the 60s, you know, youthful disaffection, Vietnam, drug addiction, racism, the New York Mets, everything happened in that lot. So I tried to put myself in a place where I was a kid, and I tried to write it from a kid's perspective, like, you know, the wonderment of it all, and you know, the newness of it all, like the little tidbit about when Artie the hippie came back from Woodstock and showed us the pictures, and we could see these tiny little images of girls with no clothes on. And oh my God.
That was like the big thing.
Oh, yeah. You know,
But wait, I got to regress here for just a half a second. You mentioned before that you're a big Yankee fan.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you grew up in the backyard of Shea Stadium, right? And was all your friends Met fans, or
Every last one of them.
so how the Yankees?
By osmosis. On Sundays, we went to Grandma's for dinner.
In the Bronx?
In Queens, in Ozone Park, tight-knit Italian family, you know, nobody's far away from the
Right.
grandparents.
Every Sunday, everybody was at Grandma's. Yeah.
Everybody's there on Sunday, and the Yankees are on. If it's between, you know, spring training games starting in March right up until September, Yankees were no good then, so there were no October games.
Or in the
The
60s, they were
Yankees are
good.
on. Yeah, but I can't really remember
The mid
before
to late
65.
60s, they really weren't.
It
Yeah.
was Mickey and Maris.
I know it, and I have like a shrine to Mickey Mantle in my basement. But the truth of the matter is that I only saw him live in '67 and '68,
When you
and I was just a kid, and he wasn't really a stud, and I never got to see him hit a home run live. I saw him hit a lot of long fly balls that got me all
I
excited.
was in Yankee fantasy camp in 1985 with Mickey.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Bucky Dent broke his thumb.
Bucky then broke my thumb.
So you know he did the wrong things.
Wow!
He threw a fastball at me and I was catching.
Oh my God! Well, yeah, a major league player. I think even after he's retired, he's at a level that's way beyond.
Oh,
Especially if you played shortstop. You could throw the ball.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, we had a guy that got drilled out of the minor leagues who came and played softball with us when I was playing on a team in Manhasset, and he played center field, and I was playing second base, and he threw the ball to me, and I had a pretty old mitt, and I went like that, and the ball kept going.
Broke your
and
mitt.
the guys were screaming at me. What did you do? What did you do? And I went
Broke
like
your
this
mitt.
and showed them the miss.
Yeah.
He threw the ball right
Through your
through
mitt.
the webbing of the mitt.
Well, I caught it in the webbing
And it still
broke my thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you.
It was an enjoyable experience.
Well, now it's the story. That's his battle.
Great story.
That's his battle story.
Everything's a story.
That's it.
That's the thing. I was at a restaurant called House of Lasagna, which is a great place in the city that I have no personal affiliation with, but it's a great place.
Is that a real place?
It's a real place.
So you can tell he's a lawyer because right away it's no personal affiliation. I got no personal affiliation. You didn't know.
Yeah, I'm not plugging.
But-
it, I
I'm
am
not plugging it. I'm not. But if you want to sponsor me,
Great place.
Do they
And-
know you're on the show?
But they don't know me from a hole in the wall. But one of
Oh,
their
you should call them and
waiters-
tell them you gave them a plug. Maybe they'll throw you a pizza or something.
I'll talk to them.
That's what lawyers do.
But one of their waitresses, I said, wait, it was a waitress, overheard me talking with the group I was with and tore off a corner of the wax paper tablecloth and wrote with the crayon, stories are happening all the time. Just pay attention. And gave it to me. And she said, I overheard you say that. That's great. And I wouldn't have remembered it because it was just
Right.
something I said in conversation.
But it's so true.
But that's the truth.
well, everything is a story.
Yeah.
You know, some things are more interesting than others, and it's not even that some things are more interesting than the others. It's the way you tell the story. How
Darren's
it
sitting
becomes
here because of a story.
Well, I'd probably like to hear that story.
No, seriously. Darren was a guest on the show just like you.
Yeah,
Oh.
And Darren wrote a book.
yeah.
I didn't know you wrote a book.
Yeah,
There you go.
it's not very good. It's not
do
even
you know
compared to
that?
that. It's a business book. You know,
Oh, so it's a sleep aid.
it's a sleep aid. Yeah, It's basically. I look at it now, when I wrote this thing like 7 years ago, to today, and I would never write what I wrote then. Now, I would write it completely different, which I'm thinking about doing. So rewriting the book. So.
There's always time, but
Yeah.
I've written some briefs that I thought were, really this is some brief. But if I gave it to anybody who wasn't involved in the case, not if I gave it to a non-lawyer, even a lawyer not involved in the case,
Right.
it's just a sleep aid.
Well, it doesn't matter what anybody else would think. It pertains to your case.
I just
And if it
wanted
was
the judge
killer,
to
it
buy
was killer.
Well, it comes down to what people are interested in, right?
Okay.
So, like your book, it's New York. It's got the New York flavor to the whole thing. Your stories and going through. So I relate like this to it. Like immediately, I'm like, I look at your characters and I'm like, I know a guy like that. I know a guy like this, and I know.
Let's
guy like
talk
that.
about characters. That's a good segue.
Well,
Let's talk about some of your famous characters. Famous to what people you know.
my most popular character, who he only gets mentioned in this book once, but there were a number of columns published with him, is a gentleman who is known as Milo, which is his name, but not his whole name. And he is the character that people respond to the most. And
Why?
in this book, just because of the way, because he's colorful, he's personable, he is connected, and not in that connected sense.
Right.
Like he's the guy that you go into a restaurant, he knows two people in the restaurant. You go to the Yankee game with him, two people yell out his name, Milo.
Everywhere he goes, he knows somebody.
Oh yeah,
It's kind of like me and my cousins. Everywhere I go, I got 52 first cousins.
Oh my God,
Yeah, so it's
that's
like-
a big thing.
Yeah.
And guess what their last name is?
Wow.
They're not all that.
First cousins. What are
They're
they
not
going to be
all that,
named?
But yes, I digress.
Well, anyway, Milo is only in this book in this little bit where when we were trying to decide what to name my son, and we finally made up our minds, and I called him. My wife had fallen asleep, and I said, Milo, we're gonna name my son Leonardo Stefan. We're going old school.
Right.
What do you think? And he said, what do I think? I think women are going to melt when he introduces himself. and it just like
No,
it
it's
was-
a sexy name.
That's so true.
It was so Milo, and it was just like for me also in that moment. It was like, yeah, that's a good name. Because we named him after my father and her father,
Right.
but not the names that they went by through their lives,
Mhm.
Leonard and Stephen. We
Right.
had their baptismal certificates, and they were Leonardo and Stefan.
Right. See, and that's great. That's great that you do that. How now does your son go by Leonardo?
I think he digs it,
Stefan.
but he wants to just be called Lenny.
Lenny.
He's into just call me Lenny.
just call me Lenny, and he's not. Yeah, he's not into the.
And he's
well,
13.
He's
Do the-
13. You know
Do
what?
the girls recognize him yet?
That's going to change in the next couple
Since
of years.
he's got the special name?
I don't really know, although I've a number of girls have called him to like FaceTime or chat or group chat or
That's how it
something.
starts.
It's a whole different world now, right?
Yeah.
And the way that goes down.
And I try to tell him, like, Len, she wouldn't have called you if she didn't like it, even just as a friend. So that's a good thing. And he's like, oh, I don't think so. That.
One of my grandkids is 15-year-old Stunner.
Mm.
She's really, really good-looking girl. She's very sweet and she's very smart. We're over at the house about a month ago, and she says to me, she says, Grandpa, I got a boyfriend. What do you mean you got a boyfriend? Where'd you get a boyfriend? You don't go anywhere. It's COVID-19. Where'd you meet? I met somebody online. And then somebody else, and then they got together, and now she has a boyfriend.
Well, I'm glad it's a good story.
Yeah. So far, it's a
Because
good
that
story.
beginning can lead to a bad story,
Yeah.
too. He was
She's-
actually
I said she's smart.
Yeah. Good. That's very good. My son gave the name to one of the stories in this book.
Which story did he get?
The story called "Be Like Robert."
Okay, so how did he come up with the name Be Like Robert, and why did he come up with the name Be Like Robert?
The story came about because of traffic. We're in traffic, and he said something, and I said to him, you know, you got to be like this guy that I knew in the old neighborhood. He was a hairdresser. You know, you want to know, what are the girls like? The girls like respect. The girls like that you're looking them in the eye instead of looking them up and down. The girls like when you remember their name and remember it the way they told you. Don't ever call Kathleen Kathy if she introduced herself as Kathleen. And he was like, where'd you get all of this from? And I said, I got this all from Robert. And he was like, well, who's Robert? I said, oh, Robert, man. Robert was a special guy. Robert cut hair at the Ecstasy Unisex Hair Salon. And he's like, so, you know, what does that mean? And I said, oh, back in the 70s, you didn't have a barber and then a woman's hairstylist. Everybody went to the same place. And I went to this place, and I'm sitting, and you had to wait forever for a haircut. And I'm watching all of these women and girls, grandmas, young girls, the post lady, everybody's falling all over Robert. And I'm thinking, nobody's falling all over me. We've got the same curly hair. We're both skinny as a rail. We're both tall. His face isn't that different than my face. What is it about Robert? And my son said, so what'd you do? I said, what'd I do? I asked Grandma. What do you think I did? She said, what did Grandma say? I said, Grandma said it's personality. And I said to Grandma, well, what the heck does that mean? And she said, oh, I don't know what it means, but he's got it. And all the women want to be around him because of that. And then I said, I'm going to figure this out. Figuring things out is what I'm good at. I go there for a haircut. I got to wait at least an hour and a half sometimes.
Did you get a razor cut?
Oh, no.
That was the thing then. Razor cuts.
When you had the big curly hair.
And the fro. He had the fro.
I had the Starsky haircut.
Okay.
But I sat every time I went for a haircut, and I would make sure I was where I could see him and hear him. And he's a real guy. Yeah. I mean, I hope that he reads the book. He has no idea the influence that he had on my life. But I just watched him, and I was like, okay, he's never checking him out. Okay, I hear what he's doing. I get what he's doing. He's not giving a bullshit compliment. He's not telling her, you know, that's a nice sweater. He's telling her, I like the way you put that sweater and that blouse together. That really is good for you. So he's complimenting what she does, not just what she bought. And he always has the name right. And he's always respectful. And he's always looking right in the girl's eye. Look at the mirror. He's always getting the angles looking right in her eyes. She's wearing a tube top. It's freezing in here. He's looking her in the eye. All right. And I told my son these stories. And I said to me, do you get it? And he says, yeah, you got to be like Robert.
And that's it.
Be like Robert.
What's your favorite story? Is that one of your favorites?
That's really one of my favorites. One of my sentimental favorites might be dating advice from Dad, which I hope it resonates with other people, because my dad's gone. You know.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll never get over it. Nobody gets over it.
Nobody gets over it. My dad's gone too. And
you don't get over it. You put it to the back, and then you're driving in your car, and his favorite song comes on the radio, and you're a mess for 10 minutes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's my sentimental favorite. I hope that it resonates with people who didn't meet my dad, because my dad was a really interesting and complicated guy. He was an ex-Marine. He never wanted to talk about it. That was over. And he didn't want to know about it. He had.
What was he, World War II?
Korea.
Oh, my dad was in Korea too.
He had this great phrase, and there was a way that he said it. Can I say this word on your?
You can say whatever word.
You'd say something, and he'd say, he'd either say, "Oh, bullshit," or "That's bullshit," and it made you all of a sudden realize I got to think about this in a different way because he knows things and he's not buying this.
He knows the truth.
He'd call you on the carpet, kept you honest.
Oh yeah, and the story in there is called "Dating Advice from Dad," and he never actually gave me any dating advice. But what I say in the book is that he wasn't a roadmap guy. He was a correct your direction, steer you in the right direction if you were going the wrong way. And I say that ultimately, I got everything I needed to know because of all of his course corrections. And if he was here, I would tell him that. And you know what he would say? That's
Bullshit. Do you see yourself writing a novel or nonfiction book or anything like that? Or only short stories?
No, I'm definitely going to write a novel. It's going to be called In Verdant Pastures. The character is going to be Vincent Capone. And
What does Vincent Capone do?
Vincent Capone is going to be an intern at the Pentagon. And he's going to go to Washington, D.C. and have to grow up a whole lot in 12 weeks.
So wait,
Because
how did you come up with Capone?
Well, I don't want to give this away so much, but I just love the name.
Is there a lineage there in the story?
No, but I wanted a word that would give this sense, a name that would give the sense of maybe there was going to be
something more
anti-Italian prejudice.
Right.
And
I don't see that.
For the rest
see
of the country, Capone will probably.
I just see a well-known name that people would recognize right away, depending on the age of the person that's reading it.
I just like the name. Also, my second editor at Whalebone, a wonderful guy, was John Capone. So maybe I'm throwing him what do you call that?
A bone.
But
you're throwing Capone a bone.
It's a bone.
Maybe you should call this carrier like Antonio Schwartz.
Then he would belong in the incongruity corner.
It would go in a lot of different ways.
Exactly.
I had this. Well, you'll read about Blackie, and of course I ripped the name off from Clapton.
Mm-hmm.
But I had this '68 Chevy Impala Classic, all black, interior vinyl, all black.
Nice.
I shined this thing that it could blind you. I loved this car. If I ever hit lotto, I'll get Blackie back. But I kind of lost where I was going.
Blackie.
Yeah, I
shined like crazy.
Well, no, it's not even that. He's talking about the character and the importance of it. In how your Schwartz thing is just irrelevant.
Oh, in Blackie,
in Blackie,
on the glove compartment, I had gotten those old school things where you could emboss and then you'd stick it up.
Right.
I used to see them on the directories of apartment buildings.
Yeah,
and it said incongruity corner, and anything that came up that was incongruous, we would put it there. So one friend found an interview from an inquiring photographer with a guy who looked like a murderer and had a neck this wide, and the question was, what do you think? How important do you think sports are? And he said, why should we think for a minute about sports? We should just think about how we can show love to each other more and more each day with this mugshot. So that was incongruous. An ad for a typing school that had a typo in it. that was incongruous. A snippet of an opinion from Judge Scalia that said we need to perform executions faster to show society how much we value life. that went in there. Juan Eichelberger's baseball card. Juan Eichelberger was African American. He pitched for the Padres. Juan Eichelberger. So your character, he would have to go in the incongruity corner.
It really would.
Well, that's the idea.
So, Lenny, if somebody wanted to get your book, right, they want to get in touch with you, how could they do that?
Okay. Probably the best way to get in touch with me and learn about the book, or if you want to talk with me about the book, is going to be to just send a simple email to lenny37@aol.com. I'll do my best to get back to you. Understand I'm not entirely a free agent. I have a publisher, but I'll take the inquiries and keep these guys free, because they got a lot on their plate. They're making their own wine now. Last year they made their own hot sauce. They're always busy with things.
And what's the phone number that people can reach you at?
Well, if you want to call me and hire me as your attorney, which
Right.
I'm actually very good at that to boot, I'm at 516-292-1717.
And that number again?
516-292-1717.
And what's that number?
Well, that was the number he put on the sheet.
You always blame somebody
Oh,
else.
that's probably my cell phone number.
Yeah, the 917 number.
No, let's.
So the
That's-
hour has just about hit us,
Oh boy,
believe
Yeah.
it or not.
We told you like
it
that.
does go.
Do you
fast.
have any book signings coming up? Anything
Yeah.
special that's coming?
We're working on 2 book signings out in Montauk. I don't have the dates yet, but I can keep you informed, and you can keep your viewers informed. There will definitely be a fall signing at the store in Greenwich Village after all the NYU students are back. Hopefully they like the book.
Now they can find these book signings also on Whalebone's
Oh,
website?
sure. Oh, yeah, Whalebone.
What about Amazon or someplace?
Well, Amazon's really for self-publishers, and Whalebone kind of does their own thing. I don't know. I can't speak for them, but so far they haven't put anything up on Amazon, so I don't know if they're really interested in that.
Cool.
Okay. Well, Lenny, we want to thank you for
Did a
being
great
here
job.
tonight. What a fantastic! I loved
thank
having
you.
you here.
Very interesting guy.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you're half as good as an attorney, you got me.
That's it.
Well, this was fun.
And trust me, he needs a good attorney. So, Lenny, thanks for being
Don't
on.
trust
This is one of the easiest things I ever did.
Told you it was going to be
Thanks.
sweet. Larry told it to you, right?
Yes.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, Lenny.
So
Thank
much.
you, guys.
Stay with
All
us.
right. All right, my friend. What a great show. Oh,
Great,
my
great,
God.
great
This was
show.
awesome. You know what? This is better than when we did it on the other side. I think he was a better guest than we were.
I probably talked too much.
You think so?
I probably didn't let you talk.
We are killer.
We're killer. I know we're killer.
Okay.
We're not killer. All right. So we will be back next week,
Next Tuesday,
next Tuesday night
right here at 7 o'clock.
at 7:00, right here on the
You
Business
sound like
Power
a
Hour.
parrot.
Who, me?
Yeah, I would say it, and
Yeah,
then you
because
repeat
you know
it.
what I got to say.
I like mumbles in my mouth.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Be safe. All
Good
right,
night, everybody.
Good night,
Enjoy.
everybody.